We are joined now by Kalen King, who's one of the toughest jobs in America this week. You got to cover Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Ibuka. How exciting is that?
And it's very exciting. You know, any opportunity for me to guard players like that talent, that with that much skill, it's always like exciting for me because I can test my skills and I can just compete with the best in college football. So I never have a problem competing with the best because I consider myself one of the best as well. So
Well, and that's the thing. You are considered one of the best corners in America. Like when you saw people in the offseason, was it this game they were always asking you about?
yeah, definitely. I definitely got a lot of questions about this game. A lot of questions. A lot of people asking me things about people. So yeah, definitely.
How much fun is it when you're playing? Because you played Marvin last year. You had to guard him several times. How much fun is it playing somebody of that level?
Man, it's always fun because just having an opportunity to go against, just really just having an opportunity to play this game that I love every day is just amazing. But once it's like once I get to go against somebody of that type of caliber of like guys like Ohio State receivers, they always had a history of really good receivers. So
Mm-hmm.
that's always a big game for me and just for the team as personally. So yeah, definitely.
The mentality of a good cornerback is always amazing to me because you guys have to be so self-confident. Like you have to believe that you are the best player on the field no matter what. How do you make yourself even when you have a moment of doubt, make yourself believe that?
I mean, really, with being a cornerback, man, I feel like you have to have a short mentality, one play mentality, because being a corner in my position is the hardest position in football. And because we have to guard the opposing team's best athlete backwards. So, just that alone takes a lot. But then once you add, getting beat once or twice, you just got to keep a one play mentality to where that you don't let that trickle and affect and just keep carrying over throughout the game because one play can really mess you up. But the more you learn to, forget about that play, worry about the next one, and I feel like it becomes easier to develop that mentality.
That is a great description though. Like you have to cover a complete athletic freakazoid almost every week, except you have to run backwards and he gets to run forward.
Yeah.
So I I saw that you I heard you talking about talking to yourself in another interview where you have these affirmations that you'll tell yourself on the field. Is that kind of in your head or do you actually say them out loud when you're in practice and in games?
No, I say them out loud. But only really I can hear it. So
Okay.
it's something that I definitely say out loud, but nobody else can hear it because it's usually happening right before the snap or either after a snap or leading up to a snap. So only I can really hear it because I know I'm saying it.
What are you telling yourself?
A lot of things. Like I tell myself, for example, I tell myself you're the best in the country, you're the best in the country, you're the best in the country. Or say it's third down or something and we need to stop right here. It's a big down. I usually say it's money time. It's money time. Get off the field. Get off the field. Just repeating things to myself just so I know.
Mhm.
Like the more I hear it and the more I hear myself say certain things, then the more I start to believe it. So
Let me tell you about Prize Picks, the most fun daily fantasy. You can play it in a bunch of states, including Florida, Texas, and California. You download that Prize Picks app, use the referral code Andy. They will match your first deposit up to $100. So I won last week on a play involving three sets of quarterbacks. I like these combined pass rush receiving TD plays that they have, the squares they have, which they start to populate on Friday and into Saturday morning. So you can take a look at those. But it's fun because if you got a QB who's kind of a dual threat like Jaden Daniels from LSU, it accounts for his rushing TDs. Jordan Travis was one I had from Florida State. He ran for a couple, and that helped me. So I'm looking at some of the early squares that they've already put out, and there's some fun here. First of all, that Penn State Ohio State game, Kalen King will be trying to keep Marvin Harrison in the less than column on this one. The number they put up for him, 85.5 yards. So they are respecting Penn State's defense here. Keandre Lambert-Smith for Penn State, 51.5 yards. Theo Johnson, 19.5. Tyler Warren, 19.5. So they are expecting a defensive struggle. Another place in the Big Ten where they're expecting a defensive struggle. And we had some fun on our pick show with Iowa and Minnesota. I have not seen a quarterback passing number that was less than 100 until now. Deacon Hill, the Iowa starting quarterback, who said the pass game is going to click any minute now. 99.5. You going more than or less than on that? Ethan Kaliakmanis, the quarterback in Minnesota, not much different. 116.5. That is going to be a slog, everybody. That's what they're expecting. But interestingly enough, it feels like that's what they're expecting in Alabama, Tennessee as well. And we've talked about that. We've talked about how Alabama struggled to protect Jalen Milroe. Joe Milton has struggled at times this year. All you need to do is look at the receiver projections in this game, and you're thinking, okay, this may be a low-scoring affair. Jermaine Burton, Alabama's top deep threat. And remember, Jalen Milroe throws a beautiful deep ball. 59.5 receiving yards. You go more than or less than on that. Isaiah Bond, 39.5. You go over to Tennessee, Ramel Keaton at 38.5 and Squirrel White at 48.5. Those are not numbers that you see when you're expecting a massive, massive game. You're expecting a defensive struggle in that game. Back over on the Ohio State, Penn State side, Kyle McCord's number 233.5. That is, again, respect to Penn State's defense right there. If he's less than that, I think Penn State's winning that game. Dylan Gabriel back in action, by the way, for Oklahoma. They were off last week after beating Texas. They're playing UCF, 306.5 against his former team. You going more than or less than. And remember, with Dylan Gabriel, especially this year, you have to account for him running the ball. One other thing to account for, if you're playing PrizePicks in the next few days, the NBA season is starting, and PrizePicks is celebrating by giving you a Steph Curry square. So if Steph Curry scores a point in the Warriors season opener, you win that square. So you combine that square with at least one more, up to 5. You're going to win that one if he scores a point. So good luck to that one. It's available through October 24th. So sign up for PrizePicks today. Use the referral code Andy. They will match your first deposit up to $100. So you deposit 100, they deposit 100. Give it a shot. There's so many options. And again, they're just giving you Steph Curry right there. And obviously you're known for your coverage skills, but I was rewatching the Ohio State game from last year. There's a play where you just fire in there and they throw a little, they throw it to Emeka real short. You dart between two guys who are trying to block you and just drill him. Like, how much pride do you take in your tackling?
A lot, man. Like, me personally, the way I grew up and like the way I was brought up with football, I try to be like as complete as possible. Like, I try not to be good at one thing and then not good at another. I try to like make my game as complete as possible because like me growing up in Detroit, man, it's a very tough area. So like I feel like I have that natural like competitive toughness off like just from me being where I'm from.
How much of that competitiveness comes from having a brother who wound up being a 240-pound linebacker with you at Penn State?
Well, I feel like a lot comes from that because like growing up, Kobe was like my first competitor. Like I competed with him in everything. Like when we first started working out, when I first started playing football, my dad used to take me and Kobe to the field, and I always had to go against him. So he was always much bigger than me, much stronger than me. So like I definitely had to bring it every time since a little kid. So I feel like just having him on this journey with me and just us doing this thing together, man, it's like it's paying off. And yeah, I definitely credit a lot of that competitive nature to Kobe because there was a lot of times where I was losing and I was getting mad because I just couldn't do nothing with him.
Well, those I mean, when you're young like that, are you just having your dad throw it up there and playing Moss?
Yeah, like so we first started out, I was probably like I was 6 years old. We was like 5'6", and he used to take us to the field and he used to throw the ball super high in the air. And the first one to catch it, like and we end up probably going for like a month straight until somebody finally caught the first one, and that was me. I caught the first pass, so I was hyped right there. He was hyped, and he always used to throw it like so high in the air. It used to hurt my chest when I tried to catch it and all that. So yeah,
Would Kobe, because Kobe was bigger, would he just try to throw you out of the way?
yep. He used to throw me out of the way. Like so, when I first started playing football and we first got our equipment, Kobe was actually the first person I ever tackled. So like I was tackling Kobe as soon as I got my equipment to start playing football. So
Then he
yeah,
was
it was
always
tough.
kind of linebacker size, right?
Yeah, he was always way bigger than everybody our age.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And, and so when you get recruited, the idea was to go to the same place, but I did hear you in an interview say that he almost went to Wisconsin. How'd you talk him into coming with you?
Well, it wasn't really me talking to him into coming with me. It was just more like we came to an agreement as like together because like he liked Wisconsin a lot. And you know, we went to a Wisconsin game. I think it was my junior year, and they played Michigan at Wisconsin. And it was lit. They was playing to jump around, and the whole
Oh yeah.
stadium was filled, and Wisconsin ended up winning that game. So man, he fell in love with it ever since that moment. And me personally, I just felt like, nah, I can't be at Wisconsin. Not I didn't really like the vibe. I messed with the school. They was a good team at that time, but I just couldn't see myself being there. So, you know, we just took the process slowly. He was ready to pull the plug,
Mm-hmm.
like right after the visit.
But
But
you wanted to visit everywhere else
yeah,
and
I
see
wanted
what
to
there
keep
was to see.
weighing the options. And then I guess Wisconsin ended up getting like 4 linebacker commits in our class. And
Mm.
then he was like, yeah, I'm not messing with them no more because he felt like they wasn't treating him as a priority. So, you know, we started to take more visits and take more we started to go more places with each other, and then had to talk with our family and each other, and we just felt like Penn State was the best place for both of us.
So you got an actual relative on the defense, but it feels like you guys are kind of a big family. Like you and Chop are close.
Yep.
Uh, what's it like with Chop Robinson and Adisa Isaac and you know Abdul can rush the passer too? Like, how much does that help you as a corner?
Oh my God. It makes my job much easier because like just me being out there knowing that I got guys who gonna get after the football, and I really only got to cover for like 3 seconds, 3 4 seconds, and it just gives me like a sense of comfort. Like when I know everybody around me is on the same type of, you know, same type of like timing and path that I'm on, it just only makes me feel more comfortable in what we can do. So
This is this is a good group, but you lose Joey Porter Jr. after last year. When did you realize this particular 2023 Penn State defense was potentially special?
man, the spring in the springtime right after our bowl game. So after the bowl game, you know, everybody dispersed, got guys going to the NFL. You know, I was super attentive during that whole process because like, you know, I wanted to soak as much information I could
Mm-hmm.
with Joey being heavily like involved in all that stuff. So when that time ended and spring ball came around and we just started practicing, and just how we looked in practice, like we looked like dominant, like it looked like it looked like the same defense but a little better, and it was a whole different group. Like it was a lot of younger guys stepping up, a lot of guys who weren't really in the fold last year stepping up and making plays. So I was like, yeah, this definitely like we got something with this defense. So definitely spring ball.
Who were the guys that surprised you that when they stepped up, you're like, oh, we
Okay,
can
so
be good
I
with
wouldn't
him.
say surprise. One thing I would say was a couple guys who took like a major step from last year to this year is KJ Winston. He's definitely one of those guys who he looks like a complete different player. Like whatever he did in the offseason, man, he was on it because like I always seen signs in it, but like this whole offseason leading up to the spring and fall camp, like he was just different. Like he was on a different type of time. And another guy is Cam Miller. Cam Miller is one of those guys who's very attentive. He's very assertive. He knows what he wants to do. He's so focused. Like he's probably one of the most mature guys we have on our team, and he's only a sophomore, so that speaks a lot. And another guy I would say is Kozai Izzard. You know, he's a guy who isn't really talked about, but you know, he's starting to, you know, get into his body of work. And then Kobe King didn't really, he played last year, but he wasn't the starter. And I feel like this whole offseason from the spring to the fall leading up to now, man, he's a whole different person. Like he took that step, and it's showing on the field. So
before I let you go, I got to ask you about your talking on the field. We've talked about talking to yourself. We got to ask about talking to other people. We had Terry Arnold from Alabama on, and he took us deep inside the trash talk that goes between corners and receivers during a game. Like, are you a talker, or do you feel like I don't need to say anything? I'm gonna
I'll just put it like this. I'm usually not a talker. You know, I just try to do my job every play, but the only way I would talk is if somebody starts talking to me. So if you start talking to me and I'm just keeping it cordial, you know, because I'm just out there to do my job. But once somebody starts talking to me, then I'll start talking. And like once they escalated to that point, then it's on. Like it's on from there.
All right, you hear that, Marvin and Emeka? If you want to have a chat, you can. You don't have to. Kalen King, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.